Hello. I hope that you are doing very well. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys some of my favorite childhood books. So I hope that this video might be nostalgic for those of you who were born in the 2000s like me. So I hope that you are in a comfy spot, and let's get started with the video. So the first book I have is Dork Diaries by Rachel Renee Russell, and this is a very popular book series. When I was growing up, pretty much all the girls in my class were reading this book series. I didn't get through the whole thing myself. I actually think I only read this book, which is the second book, called Tales from a Not So Popular Party Girl, and then the third one. But yeah, this is a very popular book series. And to be fair, it is quite entertaining. The writing is very digestible, and I think that the plot itself is quite interesting, so it keeps you on your feet. But I have to say that my favorite part about Dork Diaries is the illustrations. I think that the little drawings are so cute. One. And yeah, I just think that the sort of visual presentation of this series is very well done. On the back it says, "Recipe for Disaster. More parties. Add 2 friends and 1 crush. Divide by 1 mean girl out to ruin Nikki. Mix well, put fingers over eyes, and cringe." So on the back there is a little comic strip, and there's Nikki, she's the main character, and then Mackenzie, who is the main antagonist. And Mackenzie says, "Sorry, Nikki, dorks aren't invited to my party." And then she says, "OMG, new lip gloss, what flavor is it?" And she snatches the lip gloss out of Nikki's hands. And then Nikki says, "Super glue, looks cute on you." And then Mackenzie cannot talk because she accidentally glued her lips shut. So let's move on to the next book. Next up is Phoebe and Her Unicorn. This is a comic book, and again, this was one that was very popular with the girls in my class, and I actually did a reading of this book with a couple of my friends, and I thought that it was a very interesting book, so I decided to pick it up and read it for myself. And I do really like the story. It is very cute. It's basically kind of, as the title suggests, it's about this girl named Phoebe. This is her unicorn. I think her name is Marigold. And these two meet and then form sort of unconventional friendship. So the story is basically about their friendship. And this is a series, but I've only read the first book. I haven't read any of the other books. Maybe I will sometime in the future. But it is a very cute story. And the drawings are adorable. I really like the design of both characters. I think that Marigold is very cute. And I really like Phoebe's sort of little uneven fringe that she has, and to the grin. That's really cute. On the back it says, "Do you believe in unicorns? Phoebe does. She has no choice. One day she skipped a rock across a pond and hit a unicorn in the face. And probably this resulted in a lasting friendship between Phoebe and the unicorn, one marigold heavenly nostrils. Come along for the unicorn ride with Phoebe as she deals with the usual burdens of childhood, cruel classmates, gym class, piano lessons, and also some unusual ones: magic hair, candy-breathing dragons, and the legendary shield of boringness. Can a precocious little girl and a self-absorbed mythical forest creature find common ground? Indeed they can, and that's how Phoebe and Her Unicorn unfolds. I really like how the text is sparkly. You can see there's holographic stars, which is really pretty. Next up is Drama by Raina Telgemeier. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce this author's last name, but very popular author when I was growing up. This is probably one of her works that's more for teens than it is for children, but I read this when I was in grade 6 or 7 and I really enjoyed it. I liked the story, I liked the main characters. I think Callie is really cute. I really love her personality and her style and everything. But the first book I read by Raina was Sisters, and I really like that book. I think that it's quite relatable to sort of me and my sister, except for the fact that we actually have a very good relationship. We are definitely sibling envy, if there's ever such a thing, because we get people sort of telling us that they wish they had a good relationship with their sibling, as good as, you know, me and my sister have. But I'd say that personality-wise, I'm definitely like Raina, and she's the older one, like me. And then my sister's more like Amara, she's the younger one of us two, so yeah, but I really love, I think that the art style in her books is very attractive, sort of the way that she draws her characters. Yeah, it's like, you can see there's a sort of signature style in there, but it's very pleasant to look at. It says, places everyone. Callie loves theater, and while she would totally try out for her middle school's production of Moon Over Mississippi, she can't really sing. Like me. Instead, she's the set designer for the drama department's stage crew, and this year she's determined to create a set worthy of Broadway on a middle school budget. But how can she when she doesn't know much about carpentry? Ticket sales are down and the crew members are having trouble working together. Not to mention the onstage and offstage drama that occurs once the actors are chosen. And when two cute brothers enter the picture, things get even crazier. This actually reminds me of one time when I was in 8th grade. I joined my high school's theater production, but like the backstage part, and I was in the set and paint department, which is a lot of fun. I'm very artsy. I really like to draw, so I did have a lot of fun on that team, but it was quite a lot of work because we often had to stay after school and I'd have to postpone dinner because I'd be working on the sets for probably at least 2 to 3 hours after school. But it was very rewarding in the end, just to be part of that community and to help create something that so many people enjoyed in the end. That was really great, and yeah, this book definitely reminds me of that time. So out of all the books I'm going to show you, this book series is by far my favorite, and I'd have to say the only book series that I have an extreme genuine love for, and that is Wings of Fire by T. Sutherland. This is the first book in the series called Dragonette Prophecy. But this is a book series, quite an extensive book series, I'd say, about dragons. I feel like there's close to 20 books now in the series, but it's quite, there's a lot going on, but it is so entertaining and just creative. And if you've been on my channel before, I might have mentioned it, but I really love writing. My dream one day is to become an author, and this was the book series that inspired me to start writing. I have such a special place for it in my heart. I'll read you the back because I really hope that everyone in this world might have a chance to read this book series someday, because it is so good. I love it. So it says, the dragonettes are coming to save the day. And in this world, dragonettes are like a term for young dragons. So it says, Clay has lived his whole life under the mountain. The mudwing, which is a type of dragon species in this world. The mudwing dragonette knows that war is raging between the dragon tribes in the world outside, a war that he and 4 other dragonettes are destined to end, according to the mysterious prophecy they've been taught. The 5 chosen dragonettes were stolen from their homes until they were still in their eggs and hidden away for years, all to fulfill the prophecy. But not every dragonette wants a destiny, and when danger threatens one of their own, Clay and his friends may choose freedom over fate, leave the mountain, and set the dragon world on a course that no one could have predicted. So basically, the first 5 books in the series, which is like the main sort of like the kickstart into the whole series later on. The main 5 books cover this. They're like a friend group of dragons who have been stolen away from their homes and raised in sort of captivity to fulfill a prophecy that is said to end a war among the dragon tribes. So basically, in one of the kingdoms, they're called sandwings, the type of dragons. Their queen died, and so the throne is left to 3 sisters who are all vying for the throne. And that's basically how the war started, is because these 3 sisters all want to be queen. So Clay and his friends are supposed to be the dragons who will choose the queen in the end. But because they have been raised in captivity since before they were born, all of them are really sort of anxious to learn about their backgrounds and where they came from. And so the story, as much as it is about the prophecy, it's also about them finding who they are, their identities, strengthening their friendship, and it's a great story. I love stories about friendship, and I love dragons. Fantasy has always been right up my alley, but the designs of the dragons are so cool. I'll try to show them to you here. There's mudwings. This is clay, a clay species. Sandwings, skywings, sea wings, and this dragon breed is my favorite. They can breathe in the water, and I like their glow in the dark pattern. Rain wings, ice wings, and night wings. And here's the dragon prophecy. If you've ever read this book series, I instantly love you. And please let me know in the comments what you've thought of this series, because this is, I'd say this is probably my Harry Potter, if that makes sense. The first book series that I truly loved and really started my passion for writing, and I guess also for reading, because I feel like I definitely started reading a lot more after this. I've always loved reading, but this was like series that really did it for me, you know. Next up is a Geronimo Stilton book, or actually this is a Stilton book, and the story is basically about this friend group, and all the characters in Geronimo Stilton and Thea Stilton are mice, rodents, but they're drawn very cute, and I really love their styles. So there's Nikki, Colette, Pamela, Paulina, and Violet, and my first favorite was Colette, and then it was Violet, and I think now it might be Paulina. But it's basically about this friend group, and they go on different adventures together. And a really great thing about Thea Stilton / Geronimo Stilton books is that they have these really fun fonts inside of them, so they'll sort of emphasize or accentuate different words by giving it a different style. So as you can see, this uproar right here, new, but they make it really interesting and fun to read in that sort of way. And pretty much all the kids when I was in elementary school loved reading Geronimo Stilton, Thea Stilton. And they also have these really beautiful special edition covers, which I do own a few myself, but they're very pretty. I think that this is a great children's series, very creative, and just the perfect sort of bridge between picture books and chapter books, because they do have illustrations, quite lovely illustrations in my opinion, in color, but also they are sort of in a chapter book sort of format, so it is very good for that sort of bridging point. Next is Whatever After. This is the third book, I think, Sink or Swim, by Sarah Malinowski. But this is another popular book series for the girls, and it's basically about this girl named Abby, and she and her brother live in a house with a magic mirror in the basement, and basically if you knock on this mirror, I think 3 times, a fairy appears, and this fairy whisks them away to classic fairy tales. So this one is obviously The Little Mermaid, but the twist is that every time Abby and her brother Jonah end up in one of these fairy tales, they sort of mess it up, and so they have to sort of fix everything before morning, because the mirror only sort of swirls up, I think, at night, so they have to fix it before morning. And every time they do fix the ending of the story, it's always different than how it's originally supposed to end, so it sort of has its own unique charm in that way, where Abby and her brother give everyone a different ending. On the back it says, "Once again, my brother and I are in hot water. We weren't planning to mess up the fairy tales. The first 2 times we did it by accident, but when our magic mirror pulls us into the story The Little Mermaid, we have no choice but to try to rewrite it. Let's just say the original story does not end happily. Now we need to convince our mermaid to keep her tail, plan a royal wedding, avoid getting eaten by sharks. We've got to find a happy ending for the Little Mermaid before she's fish food and we're lost at sea forever." I feel like that is kind of a valid reason to switch up the ending, because if you know the Hans Christian Andersen, the original story, it is not a happy ending for The Little Mermaid. Disney obviously made it a lot more happy to sort of cater to children, but the original story is quite tragic, so I feel like it makes sense for Abby and Jonah to try to rewrite that. I feel like I would too if I was in that situation. And the last book I have for today is Rainbow Magic. Very popular series again. This is Alexa, the fashion reporter fairy. And basically, these stories are about these two friends, Christy and Rachel, I think. And they basically meet all these fairies and they go on different adventures. And again, my favorite part of this series, kind of like Dork Diaries, is the illustrations. I think the designs of the fairies are so cute, and I definitely wanted all their outfits. But this is quite, I think most of these are quite short. Little chapter. So it is very nice to read for kids who are just sort of getting into chapter books. It's quite easy to get through, and the concept is very cute. The back it says, it's a fashion frenzy. The fashion fairies use their magic accessories to make sure that fashion everywhere is fun and fresh. But when jealous Jack Frost steals their magic away, it could lead to a fashion flop. Luckily, Rachel and Kirsty are ready to dive into another fairy adventure. Reporting on fashion is an important job, but it's no fun when everything gets mixed up. Alexa, the fashion reporter's fairy magic pen, is missing. Can the girls help find the missing magic accessory in each book and help save the fashion magic? There's usually a theme for all the books. So this is like the fashion series, and then there's one for weather and for color and Christmas and just a bunch of different stuff, but it's all very fun. Alright, so I think I will end today's video right there. I hope that you guys enjoyed as always, and I hope that you will sleep very, very well and have sweet dreams. And just remember to take care of yourself, not be too hard on yourself, and always remember that tomorrow's another day and you can start fresh. So don't worry about anything right now. Just focus on resting up. Focus on just letting all your worries melt away. And I'm sure that everything